Hi and welcome to Team PI Pokemon, the channel that aims to bring you everything that's fun and exciting in the Pokemon trading card game. And today what we're going to do is we are going to present to you a League Cup winning deck, Zoroark-GX Yanmega. It's in the standard format from January 2018, in fact this last weekend. Jeremy Joseph Jalen played this at Phoenix, Arizona, and what we're going to do in under 10 minutes is bring you a complete deck analysis. So without further ado, let's have a look at this deck. And so huge props to Jeremy. His website is alldaygames.net. Go give it a visit, give it support. He's on Twitter as well. He's well known on the circuit. He's played for 9 years now, attended multiple world championships as a participant. He top 32'd worlds. He's also twice top 16 US national, so an extremely experienced player. Main content provider for alldaygames.net. Go give it a visit and support what he's doing on the other side of the pond. We've actually got a Zoroark-GX deck which is dominating the metagame at this moment in time, but he's combined it with Yanmega in an extremely clever way. So what do we have? We have Zora, which is your normal Zora. It's a Stampede because he actually runs Darkness Energy, so you can actually run Darkness Energy onto this one, attach it, and you can hit it for 10. You've got some RAM for 20 as well, just in case you need to soften up at the early stage. He's got 4 of those, and he's running it with 4 of the Zoroark-GX. There you go. Tradability: once during your turn before you attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Absolutely incredible draw power, arguably one of the best draw engines of the current meta game in the standard format, and possibly the reason why he's allowed himself to drop to 2 Sycamore, whereas a lot of other players in their decks just run that 4. You could experiment with other Zoras. You could experiment with the Moonlight Madness Zora, just maybe a one-off, but I don't think it's very necessary. Zoroark-GX makes it very easy to manipulate your hand size, and that's the other benefit, because you will need to manipulate a hand size in order to attack with Yanmega, maybe mid to late game. If you have exactly 4 cards in your hand, you can ignore all energy in the attack cost of each of these Pokemon's attacks. So great to see, because you've actually got a free retreat, you've got a weakness which isn't very popular in the meta game, lightning, and you've also got resistance, which is countering some really popular fighting decks that are currently present in the format. You cause doubts in your opponent's minds, because if they attach a tool, you'll be able to accelerate your damage from 70 to a base of 120, and you can do all of that with 0 energy, so it's really efficient. You start off with your Yanmega. It does have a 1 retreat cost, which is unfortunate, but you could have a look at your opponent's hand and anticipate whether you need to play that N or go forward Sycamore early game. What's great about this deck as well is that it starts off in a very aggressive fashion. You've got Turtonator-GX, which has Shell Trap during your opponent's next turn. If this Pokemon is damaged by an attack, even if this Pokemon is knocked out, you put 8 damage on the attacking Pokemon. So it's ready to get damage on the board very quickly. If you find that you're up against a Golisopod-GX deck very early on, get this Turtonator straight down as quickly as possible. If you see a mirror deck with Zoroarks, or if you are playing even a Solgaleo or a Gardevoir, get the damage back onto them. You can also restrict and cause disruptions to your opponent if they're attacking with Buzzwole, because they'll just be hit back. They're hitting out a 30, maybe a 40, 50 with strong energy, but then you're hitting them back straight away with 8 damage counters on them, setting them quite nicely for the KOs in the next turn. Also baits Bloodthirsty Eyes from your opponent's Lycanrocs as well. They need to avoid damage infliction. They will have to use those abilities very early on. Excellent versus spread decks, and it's very anti-energy drive if your opponent is starting off with a lone Tapu Lele, which is quite common. You got your Yanmegas, which I've already mentioned. It eliminates threats from Lycanroc-GXs and also Greninja. 1 prize non-GX, non-EX attacker. Consider it as a baby Golisopod, and you then start to think about this deck in the way that I believe it should be played. It's got free retreat, 110 HP, which is quite hefty. You've got Tapu Koko as well to support some very early flying flips and spread of damage. First line of attack versus defensive or setup decks. So if you are playing against something slightly more offensive, I'd recommend that you start looking for your Turtonator-GX very quickly to seal the game within maybe about 4 or 5 turns after that. Tapu Lele-GX is great. There's a 3 in there, which is ensuring a huge consistency. And you've also got Energy Drive, which is a fantastic attack. One of the big dominating decks to counter Zoroark at this moment in time is Buzzwole, so there's an inclusion of Mew-EX, fantastic to copy any of your attacks with Darkness Cost or a double Colorless Cost, as long as the Mew actually has the necessary energy to use each of these attacks. They're spiking now in popularity. A lot of people are trying to trade very heavily for these Mew-EXs, so look out for those in your binders. 98, you've got 120 HP, which is kind of seen to be weak in some people's eyes, so just get it down when you need to exchange those prizes. Combine it well with E-Hammer, so you're forcing your opponent to fall back in turns quite significantly in that mid game, so you can win the mid game and try and push your deck over the line within your time. And after around about 6 turns, say for example against a Buzzwole GX, if you are stripping them of their special energies and then you counter their Buzzwole with a Mew-EX, and you copy your own Zoroark's Riotous Beating, you really are ahead of the game. You know, you can really seal it. So I really do like the inclusion of a single Mew-EX. Shouldn't really see play unless you're actually attacking with it. If you can't help but start with it, well, you can start to attack straight away by copying your own basics attacks as well. Moving on to the trainers, we got E-Hammer, which is a fantastic inclusion. Single Field Blower as well. You might think we should play more, but you've got the inclusion of 4 Puzzle of Time. Takes into account the power of Tord Reklev's European international build of Zoroark-GX Pod. Allows you to consider this deck as a next level Zoroprod. You got a Rescue Stretcher, which recycles Pokemons from early trades, so you can manipulate your setup phase in that way as well once you're confident with how the deck runs. You got a Special Charge, which keeps that DCE flowing, so if you combine that with Puzzle of Time, you've got endless DCEs. You shouldn't be running out of those at all. 4 Ultra Ball to make sure that you find your Lele very early so that you can bridge it. You got 2 Brigette in there as well, so you got a way of accessing all of your Zoras and your Yanmegas and whatever it is that you want to front in order to give yourself a little bit of extra aggression before you set up your Zoroark-GX. Got Reverse Valley, which is a permanent plus power for you. It is now starting to see some play in Zoroarks because of mirror matches as well, so you can actually put that on your side. The damage will add up. Constant plus power, and you also shut down your opponent's reverse valleys as well. It's good counter stadium too for Parallel City. You got a single Acerola as well for that recursion. Great against mirror, great against Glissopods. You got 4 Guzma for absolute consistency to nail that mid game in your favor. You got a single Judge, which may not necessarily be needed, but if you do need it for a single Yanmega attack, you can go ahead with it. Remember, you're not relying on your opponent having 4 cards, it's just you that has 4 cards, so it's great to combine with trade as well. Remembering also that this deck can allow you to use Trickster GX as well because of the inclusion of Darkness Energy, which means that Mew-EX can also use Trickster GX as well. We've got 4N for maximum disruption, great when you're down to 4 prizes as well, and you've got Kukui, which will bring up the numbers. We'll analyze what kind of numbers you can actually hit with this deck in combination with Choice Band and Reverse Valley in just a few moments. But let's have a look at the energy line. We've got 4 double colorless energy to activate Riotous Beating. Now let's think about Zoroark. Okay, so Zoroark is hitting for a base of 120, assuming that you fill that bench with 5. You got 130 with Reverse Valley, 140 or 50 with Kukui. So the numbers start to add up. 160 with a Choice Band and Reverse Valley against an opposing GX and EX. You got it going up to 170 or 180 with a total combination of 3 cards, Kukui, Reverse Valley and Choice Band. This deck is very efficient in combining many different numbers possible to enable you to have those one-hit KOs with few cards needed within your own deck. So it's a fantastic efficiency that I really like in this deck. DCE also adds extra 20 damage with Tapu Koko as well. Energy Drive for knockouts that need completion from a Lele right at the end of your game, or you could have your DCE to activate your Shell Traps to add damage before your Writer's Beating. So you combo that with Shell Trap and Writer's Beating, you can 2-hit KO anything within the format. DC can also be used at a pinch to boost Assault Boom to 70 or 90 with Kukui, 100 against a GX or an EX with Choice Band, 120 with Kukui and a Choice Band against a GX or an EX Pokemon. But if they actually land a tool on it, your numbers go all the way up to 180 if you combine Choice Band against a GX or an EX and Kukui. For 0 energy with 4 in your hand, you can still achieve those numbers, so it is fantastic. Lastly, you've got Kukui, and you've got 4 Sycamores for complete draw power. Kukui, and you've got 2 Sycamores for complete draw power, but you've also got your setup Disruption with N as well, and it is absolutely fantastic. 3 Choice Band. If you needed the 4th one, you could just bring it back with Puzzle of Time at the end of the game. I think it's a fantastic deck. I really, really do believe that it's an extremely strong version going into Ultra Prism. I think definitely give this deck a whirl. Find your Yanmegas and bring them out. It's I think you're going to have great fun with this deck. And I also like this deck as well because it allows you to consider all the different layers that a proficient Pokemon player needs to consider during the game. All those little micro decisions. Do you actually dump your cards early on with trade with a view to finding your Rescue Stretcher? I really would like to see a Gladion in here because you've got quite a few different one-offs, but you know, if I was including a Gladion, I'd probably drop down to 3 and put the extra Gladion in, but that's just a personal preference. That, as well as a Moonlight Madness Zora, just because it's a fantastic card to have in your deck. But have fun with that. Give us a like and a subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Keep supporting the channel, and I bid you well for the next until the next time that we actually produce a video for you. Take care for now. Bye.